Hey guys, Travis with Parker Mountain Machine. Today we're going to do a comp install that will cover all of the micro compensators and the nuance that goes with it. Alright, so for your kit, you're going to get a micro comp, a barrel. It's always going to come with a barrel. We don't sell them separately because it is a proprietary barrel with a shorter length of thread. That's how we're able to get the comp so short. And then you're going to get your shim kit. And then again, the optional mushi, but highly recommend it. It's going to make all of this so much easier and you're not going to damage anything as far as your finish. So for starters, we're going to take our slide. I'm going to throw our barrel in here. And then we're going to no shims, no Loctite. Going to thread the comp on and just figure out where we stand. So right now we're 45 degrees past where we want to be for the final install, and that's perfect because we need room for the shims. So we're going to back it off. That's obviously where it needs to be, and then we're going to want to bring it roughly here. So if you look at the mushi or any of our other comp installs, we're looking for the corner of the comp to be basically in line with the front sight, but that's really only going to apply to aluminum comps. The micro comps are steel, and they're going on a steel barrel with steel shims, so there's not as much give in that whole system as there is with the aluminum. So we want less pretension on the steel comp. That way you're not fighting everything and end up, destroying something or rounding the edges on your barrel. These take less pretension because everything is steel. So now that we have an idea of where the comp lands, these is still a half 28 thread, so one full rotation is roughly 36 thousandths worth of shims. So we're about 45 degrees out. So for starters, I'm going to start with a bigger shim. Usually always start with just at least 110 unless I'm very far out. You can try one of the smaller shims, but it's easier to start with a big one and kind of see what the difference is. So we're going to put 1/10 thousandths on here. Thread your comp on. Again, no Loctite yet. Don't want to do any Loctite or any wrenching until you have this pretension figured out. So that's 1/10 thousandth shim. That's a little bit further out than what I want to be for a micro comp. So in this case, I'm going to back it off, see if I can get a little bit better timing so I don't have to muscle it so much trying to get the compensator on. Alright, so now that we know 10 thousandths was a little bit too much, I'm going to put a 5 on there. We'll do a test fit with that. Again, you want to make sure that the shim is sitting in the pocket on the comp so you're not having any binding. So now we're only a couple degrees pretension. That's not enough. We want to add a little bit more. That's where the 2000 shim comes in. You shouldn't be needing to stack multiple 2000 shims. They're only there for fine tuning. They're very thin. So you like I said, you want to start with as big a shim as you can and then fine tune with the smaller ones. So what I just did there is I put the 2000 shim against the shoulder of the barrel and then put the 5 thousandths over it. If you have the shim against the rotating force of the comp, you're more likely to shear that shim and it's not going to do anything for you. You're just going to fight it. So if you can, either sandwich the 2000th shim between other shims or between the shoulder of the barrel and another shim. Obviously, if you only need a 2000 shim, you're not going to really be able to do that, but there's not a lot of cases for that. So we're going to thread this on here, again making sure our shims are aligned. You can always go in there with like a little dental pick and get everything aligned, but so that gave us a little bit more, so we can go over to the bench and get this tightened down, put some Loctite on it. As a note here, again, these have wings on them. You don't want to damage your slide or your comp or your front sight. So when you're tightening this on, you need to hold the barrel away from the slide, put it out of battery so you can do all your rotation, get your stuff torqued on there and not have any contact between the slide and the comp because it will damage it. It'll be cosmetic, but again, it's avoidable. All right, so now that we've got our micro figured out as far as timing, we got a 5 and a 2 on there for shims. We're going to go into actually getting it installed using a vise and the wrench and a mushi. So with the mushi, this is going to be super crucial for getting it mounted and doing it properly without damaging it. So again, these are highly recommended. These are going to go in the vise horizontal. You can put them in vertical, but you're just going to get less engagement on it, and it's going to be more likely to twist and point load the comp. So go horizontal so you're getting full engagement on the vise jaws onto the mushi. And how that's going to look is you're going to put the mushi onto your comp. You can see it's the perfect outline of the compensator. They're all individually matched to the type of comp that it goes on. Now, with this being a steel micro, like we said, we're going to put far less pre-tension on it than we are with the aluminum comp. So you're going to want to ignore the front sight notch, the alignment tool that we have on there. If you are aligning your comp that far out, you're just going to fight it like crazy trying to get it aligned, and it's never going to go on. So what we're going to do is mount the whole setup in the vise like this. I like to make the back of the spring box on the comp flush with the mushi here, so it allows you to put the slide down and check the alignment once you get it closer. So we're going to hold the slide up like this. Again, we're keeping the slide away from the wings of the comp. You don't want to have it sitting down here and tighten it down. You're going to destroy stuff, and then you're going to have to replace the comp. So you're going to want to hold your slide up and away while you're wrenching on it, and it'll keep everything nice and safe, and also gives you a nice amount of room for putting the wrench on the barrel. So we're going to take this back out and we're going to put our Loctite on. But first I am going to wipe down the threads on this barrel. Your barrel will come dry, so it'll actually look pretty gray. We do that so there's no oil on the barrel to get a good adhesion with the Loctite. And then once you get it all assembled, you can put oil all over the barrel, and it'll have that nice black slippery finish instead of the gray. So to get this started, we're going to take our Loctite 272. It'll come in a small vial with your kit. It's just the same stuff in the bottle here. I usually take a very small amount and put a drop in the comp, and then I'll also do the same on the barrel. So we're going to take these two, get them threaded together, and then this is kind of where I was talking about using a pick. I'm going to use some fine tweezers here, but we're just going to make sure that the shims are perfectly in the pocket of the comp and not sticking out, because then they won't actually let you rotate the comp on all the way if they're getting pinched outside of the pocket. Alright, so we're going to put it back in the mushi, put it in the vise, get it nice and snug, but don't go too crazy. It is a plastic mushi, so you're going to just crush everything. I'm going to grab our wrench, and again, I'm using kind of my pinky to go between the comp and the slide here just to keep it away, and then gives me room to get on the barrel with a wrench. I'm pretty high up on the barrel because that's as far as the slide has the most distance away from it, so it gives me the most engagement on the barrel, as opposed to doing it down here and just grabbing it by the edge. So the more wrench you can get on there, the better. And then we're just going to tighten that on. Now, the reason, like I said, with the mushi, if you get it kind of all flush, you can look at your alignment here. I'm looking at it now, I actually went a little too far, so I'm going to come back off. Just a little bit. Cool, so now that I think I'm pretty close, I'm just wiggling the slide back and forth. I'm checking the alignment, making sure there's the same amount of movement on either side of the comp. Give you a pretty good idea that you're aligned. And then lastly, what I'm going to do is grab my recoil spring, get that installed, because that'll tell me where the slide's actually going to sit with tension on the barrel and where the comp is. So you can just make sure that the gaps on either side of the comp are equal, as well as you can look through the top, just make sure it's level on the top of the slide. And that's all there is to it. If you need to make some fine adjustments, you still have some time on the Loctite to go back into the mushi, kind of get it perfect where you want it to be. And yeah, that's the install.